Welcome back. In this chapter, we're going to be looking at more visual effects and putting what we've learned into practice in a little bit and moving a little bit quicker on things. So again, if you had a hard time with the last lesson or you're unfamiliar with how Fusion works, definitely recommend rewatching that and working through. I'm going to be working on a project called 4C VFX Muzzle Flash 1 Done. You can import that by right-clicking in your project manager, hitting import and selecting Project 4C and hitting open. Make sure you reconnect your media by selecting all of the bins here in the media pool, right click and say relink clips for selected bins. Navigate to your work files, select media and hit select folder. Then everything should be connected and this shot at 2 minutes and 25 seconds should be all comped and beautiful. Let's take a look. Bam, looking sick. We're gonna do basically the same thing for any shot that needs a muzzle flash. So here's another shot. Need a muzzle flash right here. And because we're over it here in the edit page, I can just click over to Fusion and now we have our shot. Again, let's turn on our LUT. We're gonna go to Blackmagic Design, Pocket 6K Film to Video V4, and we're gonna do almost the exact same thing. We're gonna go to VFX under Muzzle Flashes and pick a muzzle flash, drag this down. That'll bring in media in 2, F2 to rename. We'll call this Muzzle Flash MI. Rename our media in original footage, MI, and we'll merge this muzzle flash over our original footage, rename our merge. And again, with the merge selected, we're gonna go up to the inspector and under apply mode, screen, and we're gonna find the exact frame. I'll just disconnect this here for a second. We want the exact frame where he shoots. So I'm thinking right there, this frame 275. And that's where we want our muzzle flash to show up. So we'll size this, rotate it, everything so that it looks crazy good. And again, we're going to keyframe our blend. So right here at 275, we'll click our keyframe, hit left on the keyboard, bring the blend all the way down, hit right twice so that we're at the frame after, and turn it all the way down. So now we have that showing up, boom, like that. That looks sick. Same thing, let's add our smoke. Go back to the VFX, add the smoke puff, rename smoke MI, and merge this over smoke underscore MRG. Open up our keyframes, hold down Control and zoom in here. Hold down Control and roll with my scroll wheel to zoom in, and we'll bring the smoke all the way here to where it is already pretty big by the time our muzzle flash starts, and then we'll trim the beginning here, just like that. Close our keyframes, go back to our smoke merge, and under apply mode, we'll say screen. Now we have our smoke that we can move around, and this time I'm gonna flip this horizontally by selecting the merge here in the inspector. I'll close our keyframes for a second, and clicking this flip button right here. And we'll move this around to look like the smoke's coming out of the gun. And let's see how that looks. Let's play that back. Boom. Now we have the smoke coming out of the gun. And again, we probably don't need to track this. It's pretty good how it is. Same thing, let's blur this smoke as well. So I'll grab a blur node. And this time, instead of adding this and then running it through it, you can actually take any node. And while you drag it from the toolbar, you can just drag it on top of one of these connections to where it turns blue. And that will put that in between those two nodes. You can also, if you hold down Shift, drag a node out of a connection or put it back into a connection like that. That's holding Shift on the keyboard. So now our blur, let's make that again like 3. And now we have the smoke, boom, coming out like that. I'd say maybe even blur it a little more. Yeah, boom. And let's take this down with our merge. We'll blend this down to like 40 something. Boom, something like that. That looks pretty good. And kind of the same thing. So we want to add our lighting. We'll go ahead and close this second viewer here just by hitting this little button here, the single viewer button, just so it's a little easier to zoom in, show you what's going on the recording. So we're going to add a new background. I'll just grab the background here. This time, instead of making a color, I'll just grab this eyedropper. You can click and drag all the way over here and just pick a color from our muzzle flash. Again, let's call this lighting BG and merge this over lighting MRG. And we're going to add a polygon mask to this. Same thing. Bring this polygon mask up quite a bit because it always adds the masks under. And what would be lit up? So this is right by this shelf, so that would definitely be really lit up. So let's just add a huge mask here. Like that. We'll soften it a little bit. And one thing I forgot to do is on this lighting merge, select apply mode and go to soft light. That's going to add a little bit of light there. Go back to our polygon. I'll add another polygon, add a little bit here to his hand. Maybe we'll add a little bit to his face. Again, just really rough, soft shapes are going to work just fine. Because remember, this is just for one frame. Maybe we'll add a little bit to his jacket and stuff here. And you can really go crazy. I mean, you can add as much or as little as you want. Just add a little bit of that relighting. And again, I'll take this lighting merge and do our fancy thing. Blend equals muzzle flash MRG dot blend. And that's going to turn our lighting on with our flash. And again, if we think the lighting's too strong or too weak, we can add a multiplier here. So maybe this is like times 0.8, just to turn that down a little bit. So let's see how that looks. I'd say that works. I like it. Let's add a little more smoke. That looks cool. The other thing we have to do is add that camera shake if we want it. Again, shift spacebar CAM. Let's do just the regular camera shake. Again, motion scale right here at 275, where things get crazy. We're going to add our keyframe there. And before this, it's going to be at 0. And at the end, it's going to be, actually, we'll probably just keep it shaky because this is just a few frames. We'll boost up the motion scale here and do our zoom to crop. And let's see how it looks. So now we have that little boom. So now you have that little shake right as he hits. I'd say maybe it's just a little bit too, like it jerks this too much. So let's maybe take this keyframe and move it down a little bit just so it can kind of ease into it. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that. One way is open up our keyframes panel again here. And under camera shake, we'll twirl this down. If we zoom in, if we select camera shake like this, we can mouse over this last keyframe and kind of stretch it out a little bit. Let's stretch it out a couple frames later. See how that looks. Yeah, that's a little better. It's not quite as jerky, but it still adds that shake. Nice. All right, and then we're done with that second shot. That's the nice thing is once you've kind of figured out how to do a shot, you can just do the next one and it's very similar. So that's great. And what I like to do when I'm done with a shot is turn that red marker to green. So I still know that there's a VFX shot there, but we're gonna make it a green marker just to remember that we've done it. Hit M to bring up that menu here so that we know that we've done the green shots.